The teachers inform the parents that Ishan never does his homework, completely lacks focus in class, always reads and writes incorrectly, and scored 0 on all his exams. They openly wonder how he could be the brother of the brilliant Johan. The principal warns that if Ishan continues down this path, the school will no longer be able to help him and will be forced to expel him. She even suggests that Ishan might have an intellectual disability, advising the parents to look for a special school that caters to his condition. The father and Maya are left in utter shock. On their way home in the car, the mother breaks down in tears, believing she failed Ishan. But the father comforts her, saying, "It's not your fault. You did more than enough." The blame lies entirely on Ishan. He firmly believes that Ishan is simply lazy and careless. When they get home, the father decides to send Ishan to a strict boarding school, believing it is the only way to discipline him. In this school, Ishan would live, study, and only see his family during holidays. Maya strongly objects, heartbroken at the thought of being separated from her young son. However, the father insists it's the only solution to save him from being expelled. Ishan desperately begs his father to change his mind, but his father refuses and remains stubborn about sending him away. A week later, they drop Ishan off at his new school. Maya is devastated, crying as she leaves her son behind, while Johan tries his best to comfort her. Meanwhile, Ishan is left feeling completely abandoned, rejected, and thrown away by his own family. At lunchtime, he refuses to eat, utterly traumatized and unable to process his new reality. Back at home, Maya discovers one of Ishan's notebooks. Inside, he had drawn the exact moment of his separation from his family. Maya bursts into tears upon seeing these drawings, deeply questioning whether they truly made the right decision. On his very first day of school, the teacher orders Ishan to sit at the front desk next to Rajan, the smartest student in class, hoping Rajan's discipline will rub off on him. The teacher asks Rajan to read a story, and then commands Ishan to explain what was just read. As usual, Ishan freezes, unable to understand or explain anything. The teacher ruthlessly mocks him. The entire class bursts into laughter, and Ishan sits back down, completely humiliated and depressed. In English class, Ishan faces trouble yet again. While the teacher, Mr. Sen, is explaining the lesson, Ishan stares at the blackboard and zones out, visualizing the letters moving and dancing around. He stays like this throughout the class, and Mr. Sen screams at him repeatedly, calling him lazy and stupid. Ishan is deeply crushed, internalizing the abuse and becoming convinced that the teacher is right, that he truly is a stupid, lazy failure. He even begins to experience nightmares and hallucinations of giant insects tormenting and torturing him. Ishan, who was once a constantly joyful, energetic child bubbling with life and vitality, transforms into a deeply depressed, silent, and broken child. He becomes completely indifferent, deeply depressed, and terrified. Over the weekend, his parents come to take him back home. Ishan sits there crying at first, but then he runs into their arms. When they get home, Johan gives him a box of colors because he knows how much Ishan loves drawing. However, Ishan is no longer happy and absolutely nothing brings him joy anymore. On Sunday, his family drops him off at the boarding school once again. He remains deeply sad, growing numb to the pain, and no longer feels any positive emotions. The next morning, Rajan finds Ishan standing on the school's high ledge. Terrified for his safety, Rajan begs him to get down. Because Rajan walks with a crutch, he loses his balance and falls to the ground. Ishan rushes over to help him up. Rajan thanks him and shares some news. Mr. Holkar, the strict art teacher, has transferred to another school, and an unconventional new art teacher is about to arrive. All the students gather in the classroom, eagerly waiting for the new teacher. Suddenly, they hear the sound of a flute and look around to find where it's coming from. A man dressed as a clown bursts into the room, performing acrobatic tricks and singing joyfully. The entire class gets incredibly excited and starts interacting with him. Even Rajan, despite his condition, desperately wants to dance along. Ishan, however, keeps his head down, completely expressionless. It turns out that this clown is actually Mr. Ram, their new art teacher. After finishing his performance, Mr. Ram hands out blank sheets of paper and asks the students to draw whatever their hearts desire. A minute later, he walks around the room to check on their progress and notices that Ishan hasn't drawn a single thing. Instead of rushing him, Mr. Ram gently says, "Take your time." After a while, almost all the students are close to finishing their drawings, except for Ishan, who hasn't even started. Seeing this, Mr. Ram doesn't get angry or scold him like the other teachers do. On the contrary, he becomes deeply worried because he can see how depressed the boy is. The following day, the other teachers notice that Mr. Ram has kept all the drawings the students made. Perplexed, they ask him why he is keeping them and question his teaching methods from his very first class. Mr. Ram replies, "My goal is to bring joy to my students, because if they are happy, I am happy. Drawing is incredibly important for children because it allows them to express their feelings." The traditional teachers strongly disagree with his view on education, arguing here we must teach children how to compete and strive for first place, so they are prepared for the real world. We must teach them discipline, order, and hard work. Deeply concerned by Ishan's silence, Mr. Ram examines his notebooks and realizes his struggles.